Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I am going to be covering the addition to ServiceNow for procurement and contracts, the unauthorized purchase approval request form. This form is now going to be submitted through the ServiceNow portal. Before we go through our example in ServiceNow, I want to share with you the actual form on our website, which will be removed. The ServiceNow application is going to follow the same structure as the current form. It will ask you the same questions, and it will also ask you to select your division arm, fiscal officer, and your administrator, who will be an AVP or VP position. What we are going to do first is go through the IT service portal. When it's the same process as you are going to be submitting an independent contractor request or any other IT related ticket. You're going to go to request support, and it will send you to this page here. We're going to select procurement and contracts, and then here is the new addition, the unauthorized purchase approval request. So let's go through our example. The first thing I want to cover is just to let you know that just by submitting this form, it doesn't mean that your request is going to be approved. So at this point, we are not accepting this as an obligation of the university to make this payment. Once the request is fully approved, then we will release the payment. Then the university has accepted the financial obligation to make that payment. You are going to select the type of payment. There's only two options, either a vendor payment or an employee reimbursement. If the direct pay form, which is used for employee reimbursement, if the option is not in the drop-down of the direct pay form, it is considered an unauthorized purchase. So please come here and select employee reimbursement if you're seeking employee reimbursement and it is not authorized on direct pay. For the sake of our example, I am going to use vendor payment. Select your division. The information is pre-populated. I'm going to select admin and finance. Depending on the division that you select, your division arm or fiscal officer will auto-populate. This individual will be the first person to receive notification from the system to review your UPAR request and approve it, and then it will go to your division AVP or VP. All AVP or VP level positions that have been added in the system. So we're going to select Deborah Wallace for our example, and then the department will automatically populate. We're going to enter the requester's phone number, and then we're going to start by entering the payee information. This is the vendor's information or the employee's information, depending on the option you selected in the type of payment. We're going to start with the name of payee. The drop-down options are pre-populated from our PeopleSoft supplier database. So if the vendor is existing in our database, they will be included in here. If the vendor is not in PeopleSoft, that means that we will require a 204 form, and you will select new vendor here. Vendor number 4769. This is the same process as if you were entering a requisition in PeopleSoft. You will select 4769, and this lets procurement know that this vendor is not in the system and a 204 request process is going to be completed. For the sake of our example, I'm just going to select a vendor that is already in the system. Is the vendor licensed? Yes or no? If you don't know, just select no. This is the vendor address. Please enter the address there. For the sake of our example, I will just leave the university address, the month that you made the purchase, the vendor's email address, if you have it. I know sometimes it can be difficult to get this, but this will help us with processing the request. If you do not know the email address, it is a required field, so we recommend that you add at least your email address so that we know who to go to if we have any additional questions. Our office will contact the vendor, which you will provide the phone number down here if we have any questions, but the email address also helps us in case we cannot communicate with the vendor via phone. Year of the purchase. And the reason that we request the month and the year separately is because procurement and contracts does annual reporting so that we can notify the division VPs and the president on activity that has occurred during the year for unauthorized purchases. What is the amount of that payment that we're making? Is this a new vendor? If it is a new vendor, you will select yes. Have you requested that 204 form? Yes. If you have requested it, please select yes. This will help facilitate the process. If the vendor is not in the system, they're not here under the options of payee, please send them the 204 form. That will get the process started so that they can upload it to the Dropbox. Accounting can receive it. So by the time that we get this request processed, that does not delay the payment. I'm going to say yes there. And then just give a description of what the item, the service is. So I'm going to say services. Whatever the service is, just add something in there. All right. So in the account, you're going to type in your chart field. Only the account, the fund, and the department ID are required fields. The program, class, and project are optional. If they apply to you, you can include those. We did not make them required because they don't always apply. And then you're going to continue with your justification. What is the reason that the procurement policy was not followed? Was this an emergency situation? Was there no time for the procurement process? Were you unaware of the policies and procedures or other? In this case, I'm just for the sake of our example, I'm going to say I was unaware of the policies and procedures. This will happen when we have staff turnover and we have new employees that are not aware of the policy. And that's typically what we run into. Provide a detailed description of the facts of why we got here, why were the procedures not followed. So please provide that explanation here. Okay, so what steps are you going to take to avoid this from happening again? So we don't want to keep seeing unauthorized purchases. We want to know what you are going to do in order to be in the situation again. So I'm going to say I'm going to attend training and communicate with procurement prior to my event to ensure the procedures are followed. Okay. All right, so then you're going to upload your pertinent documentation. We require an invoice. Please do not upload a quote, a summary, a billing summary. We need an actual invoice. So if the vendor has not provided an invoice, please obtain an invoice. If we are paying an individual, that's an independent contractor, we're going to need an independent contractor ticket to be submitted, so we need confirmation of that. Is it hospitality? Is it IT related? Do you need ICT approval? So all of those documents have to be uploaded in order for us to continue processing your request. So once this is submitted to the ARM, they should be the ones that say, okay, let me make sure that all of the documentation has been submitted. If it hasn't, we need to make sure that it is obtained so that procurement has the proper documentation. Okay, so this request is going to be submitted to Megan for approval. And I'm just going to hit submit. And then it shows you the standard process of an IT ticket that you are used to. Please note that you are not able to go back into the ticket and change information. If procurement or your ARM or fiscal officer contacts you and lets you know that there's missing information or you need to make changes, you will need to make those changes here. You can type a message, which our office will get, or you can add attachments that addresses the missing information. Once this is received, it goes to your ARM. Your ARM will get an email saying to review and approve. After your ARM, your AVP or VP, depending on the individuals you selected on your initial form, will get that email to review and approve. After your AVP and VP review and approve, then it will come back to our office. We will review it, and then you will get a final either approval or rejection of your request. And once it is approved, our office will take care of sending it over to accounting for payment. So that is essentially how to submit an unauthorized purchase request on the new ServiceNow platform for procurement and contracts. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to any of our staff in procurement. Give us a call or send us an email at procurement@csudh.edu, or feel free to reach out to me directly and I will assist you with your request. Thank you so much.